All right. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. We are going to be reading this comic. But before I do that, I want to say hi, everybody. My name is JeyOdin. I am the creator and artist of Hammer, which is currently being serialized and published in the world's most diverse manga anthology, Saturday AM. It unfortunately has been on hiatus for a little bit. I've been working on a lot of projects, which I'm very grateful. I'm almost done with one of them. I'm about to get right into Hammer, and I'm super excited. But this entire stream is not about that. This stream is the second stream of my Finish Your Comic Club. For everybody out there that doesn't know, you can see like this thing scrolling. In short, I wanted to create a club where I could talk to people about finishing up their comic, give them advice, all that jazz, as well as also read their comics, because I used to do that on YouTube, and it was really fun. It was a blast. I had a really fun time doing it. It was a while ago. And then I got really busy, and then also a lot of people got angry, and I was like, you know what? Let me just start some type of community where if you want me to read your comic, I can do that. I'm obviously going to give you some critiques. I'm obviously going to, make jokes as we read it, nothing malicious or anything, but, just to have fun, giving you guys entertainment, and also hopefully giving you advice, so that way when you hear what I'm about to say about this person's comic, you can take it and run with it for your own comic. So hopefully that is what's going to happen. That's the plan anyway. But again, like I said, this is the second stream. The first stream that came out 2 weeks ago, I actually did not share it when I was about to start streaming. And I wanted to make sure that I didn't do that this time. So I did share it. I made a Instagram live, or not Instagram live, an Instagram story, and it is unfortunately still uploading. So hopefully you guys will see that soon. Then you guys will come. If you're already here, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. I guess depending on the turnout, I'll also pull up what I was going to pull up last time in regards to the world debacle. For everybody out there that doesn't know, there is a anime called JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. There is a character in that. His name is Dio. He has a power called the world. However, in the Japanese, when he says it so crazily that it's like the world or whatever. And it just sounds really cool, but a lot of people have made memes off of it and all this other stuff. So I decided to do something, and I wanted to know what you guys thought. So I actually had a poll a couple weeks ago, when I did my first stream, on whether or not you guys thought it was Zay World or The World. And I guess depending on what you guys thought would be something that we would talk about. But that didn't happen, like I said, because I didn't share that entire live stream. So hopefully that is going to be different this time. If you guys are interested, I will bring this up again. And if you guys are commenting, then, I would definitely show the video that I think you guys would very much so enjoy. But let's get into it. Let me pull up this real quick. Give me 1 second. 1 second. Okay, cool. All right, so we're gonna get right into it right now. This is the comic. Well, actually, yeah. Let me back up real quick. So back in 2023, 2024, around that time, I started a YouTube channel, mentorship program, and I already had a YouTube channel. I started a mentorship program. My apologies. And I had a lot of people that contacted me, and I was, meeting with them every week. It was an awesome time. I very much so miss that first, class, I guess you should say. It was like 6 or 7 people. It was a really fun time for me. I, had helped a lot of them. According to their testimonials, anyway. I hope I've helped a lot of them. I still talk to them from time to time. They were just a really cool, band of artists, and I don't think any of them knew each other, but hopefully through this community that I'm starting, if those members come back, I mean, it would be great for them to also give advice to younger artists. That's kind of like what I'm thinking. And anyway, all that to say is I met Trey Bronson. He was the one that contacted me for a mentorship program, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, why not? And this guy actually is, awesome. Not only, obviously his art has gotten better from the very beginning all the way to his most current work, which right now he's kind of sporadic in terms of like finishing up more and more comics. Obviously, he's busy, grown man. Obviously, you got bills, you got things that you got to do, so he's not drawing constantly. But he does have some cool ideas. We were talking the other day via messaging, and he said that he wanted to, pick up another series that he had in mind. So hopefully this will give him some motivation. Hopefully we can talk more about that in the future. But this was a really cool idea that he had proposed to me during our mentorship program, and it was called Anti-Agent 00. So let's get to it. All right, this is Anti-Agent 00. So I immediately loved the concept because when he was explaining it to me, he was saying, I had an idea about an agent that basically had like 3 forms. One of them was a baby, the other one was like, middle-aged, and the other one was like a lot older. So I thought that was funny. Trey has a great sense of humor, and I think that not only did his humor come out through these pages, but also you could tell that he was just having a lot of fun. And in all honesty, I think it kind of comes down to that. When it comes to, drawing your own manga, drawing your own comic, I mean, if you're not having fun, then why are you even doing it? So the fact that you can feel the fun through every page, that's so great. So let's get to it. First and foremost, let me talk about this cover page. I, am a sucker for traditional art. Obviously, that's something that I very much enjoy. And I also think that when it comes to manga, or at least traditional manga, that we've seen from, growing up from, Shonen Jump and all that, whenever there's a new series or one shot or, just an awesome chapter, there'll be a color page. And I really think that he did a good job with constructing this. I feel like his art style is I don't think it, at this point in time anyway, was as solid as it's going to get. I think that right now, his art style is a little more refined, or at least, the next comment that he did is a little bit more refined than this. It still kind of looks the same, obviously, but it's refined enough to where it feels even more like him. I feel like this particular comic, he was still trying to get his groove. That might just be me, but that was the impression that I got the very first time I read this comic. But I love the colors. If he did this traditionally, he did a great job. If he did this digitally, kudos to you, man. I don't know what kind of marker you're using or brush, but you're doing a great job. I know that there are brushes, obviously, that can mimic the traditional look, and I haven't found one that I liked enough to actually just stick with. So generally speaking, whenever I decide to color anything digitally, it just looks like it's shell shaded. Whereas, if I want it to look a certain way, I'll just pull out my markers and start coloring. Okay, so in terms of the composition, though, I really like this. I think this is cool. She is immediately standing out, very striking with her blue dress. I really like this guy. He's the main character. He has this giant smoke pipe. I think that the smoke pipe probably could have been drawn or rendered in a way to look a little bit more like a smoke pipe, but obviously you can see the smoke right here, so you kind of put 2 and 2 together. But yeah, overall, I think all of these people look really cool. I like the old man. He's pretty funny. And this cop car. Look, I gotta say, when it comes to cars, they're probably one of the most difficult things to actually draw. Cars, airplanes, soccer balls, and bicycles, for whatever reason, are the hardest thing in the universe to draw for me. However, when it comes to cars, I think he did a pretty decent job. Obviously, it looks very, it looks kind of retro, like an old 1950s type of police car or something. I think he did a pretty decent job, though, especially with the colors. That gradient on. Hold on, I'm sorry. If you hear my son in the background, he's talking to my wife, crying right now. So I'm sorry about that. But oh yeah, he's having it right now. I'm sorry, buddy. I love you. There's somebody that said, hey, what's going on? Hi there. Where is everyone? I don't think anybody is coming yet, so hopefully they will all come in. But thank you for coming. I really appreciate this. I'm going to keep on reading and going for it. But this particular cop car, I think, looks very retro. It looks like a car, so obviously it's, I think he did a decent job. He got his message across. I mean, this is a car, but, it doesn't look, I guess, as spectacular as, a lot of modern cars these days. Okay, so we're gonna start reading this. I'm excited. I haven't read this since it came out. So, all right, dude. I told you already. I'm just a damn runner. Tell me who you're working for, and I ain't got all day. Why would I help some wannabe spy? You ever been shot, dope boy? Ha! You ain't got the balls. All right. So first off, I hope you guys are liking my voices because I practice them every day. So keep that in mind. Second off, I'd just like to say I love this background. Obviously some of the perspective is off. It's not like lining up perspective wise, but the detail, the energy that you feel inside of this, the atmosphere, I think he captured all of that. I really like the fact that there's even a cat right here just like sleeping. I think he did a good job on this. I'm not sure if he used ruler. It kind of looks like it's freehand, especially since it's not following perspective grid. So I would assume this is freehand or whatever, but I think it still gets the message across. But yeah, that the only advice that I would give to that is, try to get used to perspective. So that way, whenever you are trying to craft something that may not look like you need it, it still follows those same rules. And if it follows those same rules, then anybody that's looking at it that might have been trained in art won't really care if it's off a little bit or whatever the case. So just food for thought. I really like this introduction panel. I kind of want him popping out of the panel in all honesty, just to flare it up a little more, but I think he did a pretty decent job, especially with the foreshortening of this gun, which is another really hard object to draw. So I think he did a good job. Good job, Trey. You're doing cool. I will say this. I still don't like the way his legs are right here. It kind of looks like they were chopped off and he's just, a paraplegic. but not really. Like, I mean, I can tell when you look at the next panel that he's kind of like, this is one leg and like there's another leg coming or whatever. So like I can understand what he's doing, but like it just kind of looks strange in this particular panel. This panel I also don't really kind of like that much, mainly because he's not necessarily pointing directly at him. I mean, he is, but not really. If you look really closely, like his gun is just off to the side, so like he's just, I guess, bluffing or whatever. So, but I mean, again, it's not really too big of a thing to stop reading. So let me keep going. Oh, nice. Oh, okay. All right. Pew. He starts screaming. Okay, I remember when we were first talking about this page, Trey, he made that laugh. He made that scream. I thought it was hilarious. I was like, it's pretty cool, man. Pretty cool. So, all right. But I like this. Definitely shows that this guy is not messing around. Like, he shoots him immediately in the leg. He says, "Fancy, looks like I found the balls." He says, "You're a psychopath, man." All right. So yeah, I like this. I think this is cool. I also like the flow of the page. Like, this panel is pointing to this page. To this panel, I'm sorry. This panel is pointing to this panel. So your eyes are being led directly to exactly where they need to go. I like that a lot. I think that's great. I also think that, obviously the sound effects. I really like this sound effect. That's hilarious. The pew, I'm not really in love with. I think it probably could have, looked a little different. But, again, it gets its point across. I like the speed lines, kind of erases the background to make it look even more, focused on the shot. I love that. I think that's cool. Ultimately, I think both of these, like, they work. There's some things that, I could be nitpicky, but, in short, it's not really that big of a deal. It's getting the message across. I like it. I think that this is a, pretty cool introduction to show that this character is very serious about what he's trying to do. And he does not care about, a dope boy or his leg, especially. So I think that's cool. All right. So then the guy says, "My boss Gus is hard to reach. Best bet is to find his wife, Mrs. Garrick. Any place she frequents. They just had a kid. I think I heard she joined some mom's group somewhere on the east side. Your country thanks you." "Hey, you can't leave me like this. Flip, blip, flip, flip, flip." Huh? All right. So, first off, let me just address this panel because it's the most interesting. I love it. I love this panel. I know what happens next. I think he did a great job with this. Like, I love that panel. This is cool. I just like to point out that let me back up for a second for everybody out there that oh no, hold on, sorry guys, I clicked the wrong button. My apologies. For everybody out there that is drawing that may not think that their art style is the best. That's fine. First off, you're always going to get better depending on how much you draw. So just keep on drawing stories. Tell however many stories you want to tell. That's what's going to make you better. But also, don't care about your art style. Obviously you're going to get better. Obviously you're going to improve. Especially if you're serious about it and you want to improve. You're actually actively searching for ways to get better. If you're doing that, then there's nothing to worry about. But the reason why I'm saying this is Trey is not the best traditional conventional artist. And yet this comic is already very entertaining. It's hilarious. Like, we're going to keep on going, but I'm already intrigued. I already know what happens, obviously, and I already know the guy, but at the same time, like, I think he's checking all the boxes. So, maybe I'm wrong. What do you guys think? Put them in the comments below, but let's get back to it. All right. So, but yeah, like I said, I really like this panel. We're going to get into it on the next page, but let me just talk about what's going on. I really enjoy what's happening in the background. And I remember when I was talking to him about backgrounds that my mentor a long time ago actually told me that when it comes to drawing your pages, they have to be interesting. They have to look like something is happening, obviously. And if you're doing a talking scene, the way to make that interesting, obviously, is with camera angles, with dialogue, and all of that, the intricate details in the background, all that jazz. However, to make it even more interesting, and even if you don't match up to every other criteria that I just said, if your background has other things happening, like, for instance, with this, you have two mouses eating cheese, conversing. Maybe in another panel you have a dog in the background walking, or you have two people that are like flirting or whatever. I've actually done this. It's really fun to whenever you're drawing a huge scene and you have a lot of people, have those characters interact with each other, like from panel to panel. I've drawn an entire date in the background of an entire scene, and no one has addressed it because no one looks at the background. But it's always really interesting. It's always really fun. It's I would just say experiment a little bit. Try to make your background just as interesting as what's happening, at the forefront. And I think that Trey did a good job with having these mice talk to each other with this cheese. So that's cool. Not only that, but also I really like the background as well. Like, it's not, insanely detailed, but, kind of gets a point across. So, okay, I like this panel. This is cool. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say about those, but let's keep on going. All right, so now you see this baby. He says, did you just turn into a freaking toddler? And then, nah, you're losing too much blood. I know what the hell I saw, man. That's hilarious. If I was just shot by a spy who was trying to get information and then immediately turned into a baby and then immediately turned back into that spy, I would be like, you're gaslighting the hell out of me. Like, this is crazy. Like, I know what I saw. I think he did a really good job, Trey, with this sequence, mainly because, it's funny. It, immediately introduces that this main character has this strange ability or, whatever. And on top of that, this is what, page 3? Page 2? Wait, hold on. Page 3. Yeah, this is page 3. Page 4. All right, wait, hold on. Okay, page 5. Okay, so he's getting into it really, really quick. And that's exactly what you want. That's exactly what you need for, any comic. You want to hook them, keep them, and then guide them along throughout your entire story. So, obviously, let's, scroll up a little bit. You have the cover you look at the art and you say, okay, well, he might not be the best artist, but this looks pretty interesting. And then you look more and it's like, okay, wow, that's a pretty cool background. Some perspective, issues, but whatever. And then you see some dialogue, and then this guy just shoots this guy in the leg, and you're like, whoa, what's going on? And then you see page 3, he's explaining more, and then you see him as a baby, and you're like, whoa, okay, now I'm interested. Like, what happens next? Good job, Trey. You did a good job on that. Kudos to you. So let's keep going. Let us keep going. All right. So we said, we got cop cars. Look, man, I get it. You got that skinny panel because drawing cars sucks. Like, I understand it. All right. He said, that was a close one. Flip blue. I've got to pin down this age shifting. Shh, no time. I need a plan to get into that mom's group. All right. So again, he does the shift, and now we see that he's an old man. So we see all 3 of his forms now. We have middle-aged, old man, baby. Really, really cool. Very interesting. In terms of the background, for this panel, I get it. Atmosphere-wise, I think he kind of locks it down. But this is a massive road. Oh my God. If you've been on a street and you see the lines in the middle of the road, like, they're not this wide. They're not, they might be that long. Somebody told me a long time ago that they're actually 6 feet long, which is crazy. But you're driving really quickly, so they seem a lot shorter. But they're just not this big, and this is kind of throwing me off personally. Not only that, but also when you see him, you can check his size. I have my hand on the screen right here. You see his size, and you match that to this building. Obviously there's some distance, but like, he would still be really tall compared to this building. There definitely some issues in regards to backgrounds and perspective and stuff. But again, he's locking it down. Like, he's letting hey, this is what the story is. This is how it's going. If you are interested and you're all at this point and you keep on going, then you're in for a ride. So this is how I draw. Keep going. Keep it up. So I think that Trey did this very, very well. See again, knocking us with he did a really good job on this background as well. Perspective probably might not be the best, but there's a lot of detail. There's it makes sense. Like, you can see like the bus. I really like this. Actually, I like this a lot. Again, it's not like My Hero Academia level of background, but like, it's the atmosphere. Like, you can feel where this old man is, like, just walking around. I think that's really cool. So then he's walking. He sees I guess this is Big Ben from London. I'm not really sure, but he's walking. And then he sees creek. It says open. How? Then he walks in, sees this giant staircase. Yeah, man. Good job, Trey. Add backgrounds. Like, even if you think that they might not be the best looking thing in the world, you'll get better. The more you draw backgrounds, the more you draw people, the more you draw anything, you're going to get better. So just get it done. Have an idea, and execute it as best as possible. And obviously you're going to have people, comments. They might say, this is good, this is not good, whatever. But, get it done, because that is the only way to know exactly where you're at and, how to improve. So just keep that in mind. For everybody that's watching this, again, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Please, drop a comment down inside of the comment section. Let me know that you're here, that you're enjoying this. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in there. After I read this entire story, I'm going to try to answer all those, as well as also try to read some of these comments for this comic, just to give some flowers for, Trey. But I want to answer your questions too. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments. All right. So anyway, he's walking up the staircase, and he's getting his gun. And he's like, And then he sees this girl, and he says, Watson, I almost sent you straight to God. The agency wanted me to check up on Auntie's great Leroy Holmes. Out late for an old man, 00. Okay, so I get. Okay, all right. The way I read it came off really strange. I get what he's going for, and I understand how he's actually, like, having like their banter, like, you're trying to get like their voices down. So, her saying what she's saying, how she's saying it, and all that, that's how she speaks. So that's what he's doing. And initially it didn't really click when I was reading it right now. The only thing I can say about that for anybody out there that's trying to do the same thing is to just try to figure out a way to make whatever they're saying as simplistic as possible in the least amount of words that does not sound confusing. And what I just said might sound confusing, but trust me, it takes a while to get used to it. I personally have had a lot of exposition in a lot of my previous comics before, Hammer especially, and now I've gotten to the point where every time I read anything, if I'm writing down a long explanation or whatever, I'll rewrite it like 4 or 5 times. Like, okay, how can I shorten this? How can I make this sound like this character? How can I make this as easy as possible to read so that way whoever is reading this, audience member, little kid that just decides to pick it up or whatever, can continue to read it. You don't want them ever to think to themselves, what is this? Because it pulls them out of the comic. So, or manga or story or whatever. It pulls them out. You don't want that. So just food for thought. When I first read this, that's kind of like how my mindset was. I'm trying to read it again, see if it looks good. He says, Watson, I almost sent you straight to God. The agency wanted me to check up on Auntie's great Leroy Holmes. Out late for an old man, 00. I think that is, the way he wrote it, it works. It's just I wasn't there when I was reading it. I guess I don't know. So, but anyway, I'm ranting too much right now. I like this. Obviously, the perspective is kind of off. That would be my biggest contention with this particular panel. I love these 3 panels. This looks really, really cool. But yeah, that would be my biggest contention for this panel. Her pose. I like her pose. I think it works, but it could. There's some tweaks that I would probably add. I probably would have even had her come out of the panel. Because again, this is another main character. You're trying to. That's why she's so big. Like that's why they're, Trey's showing so much of this character and showing her in her own element. Doing whatever she's doing with science experiments. Like she's another main character. So whenever you're introducing another character, you want them to be properly introduced, I guess I should say. Like you want them to be recognizable as well. So, that's why you're drawing them big. That's why you're, making a spectacle of them on that page. She's the biggest person on this entire page. And like when I go back and you see this guy, he's the biggest person on this page. So you see what I'm saying? Like, whenever you're introducing your character, you gotta, play with it to see what's gonna work best. But I think you did a really good job with this particular one. So. All right, so we're going to go to the next one. It says, their boss goes by Gus Garrick. He's funneling opioid to the entire city. Yikes. You would think with that kind of movement, his wife would lay low. Enough of that boring stuff. How's my lovely anti-aging serum? Decent. I've basically perfected age shifting. Woohoo! Show me your child stage. Not today. I'm spent. But if you want to see the kid in action, I just might have a way. All right. Okay, so yeah, I think this is good. So not only did, through the dialogue, he introduce the concept that this lady, who we know from the previous page is essentially a scientist, has created a serum for him and his anti-aging. Like, he's turning into an old man, he's turning into a, middle-aged man and, a baby and all sort of stuff. So, having that serum is something that is needed. So they are now, I guess, codependent in some sense. Like he's definitely dependent on her. Like, but is she dependent on him? Who knows? Like, I guess I don't know. These are some of the questions that come to my mind when it comes to like if this was a series. I could definitely see this being a series. I think it'd be really fun too. But if this was a series, like those are the types of things that I would be wondering about. Like how where is this going? What's his actual age? Like, is his old man his true state? Or is his middle-aged man his true state? Like, what actually is it? So, I don't know. I really like that. I think that's really cool. I think it's this old man is his true state, if I had to guess, but we'll see. Anyway, he says, I might have a way if you want to see the kid in action. All right. So the next day. All right. Next plan. The next day. You sure this is going to work? Of course. Why not? It's just where a bit different is all. Just stick to the plan, Watson. Yeah, so Watson is going to the mommy group with a black baby. So, yeah, they're different. That's what it is. Kudos to you, Trey. I think you did a good job with this dialogue. Good job, man. Just stick to the plan, Watson. A new mommy is joining us today. Please welcome Dr. Wendy Watson and her son Leroy. Hi, Wendy. Hi. He's so cute. Is he adopted? Yeah. I couldn't have kids, so well, yeah. That's a good way to cover that up. Clearly he's adopted. Okay. So in terms of the art, I really like this baby. Him being in a suit. I think that's really fun. The perspective is obviously something that's just going to be, something that is not completely enforced inside of this comic. So I'm not going to keep on bringing it up, but obviously that is what I see in this panel and in this panel. But another thing on top of that perspective is that a lot of these panels feel, how can I say this, kind of scrunched up. There's a lot going on, and it's not that I can't understand what's happening or that it's not even interesting to see, what happens from panel to panel, but, none of the art is breathing. This is an issue that I've dealt with Hammer, especially Volume 1 and, Chapter 1 when I had to redraw, whatever. I'm going to rant for that. My point is, is that when it comes to showcasing this world, when it comes to showcasing, each page, you want to have the art have room to breathe. Somebody a long time ago said that what you should be trying to go for is for each page between 3 and 5 panels, because usually if it's closer to 3, then obviously you have a lot more real estate space on the page to draw more details, draw a little bit bigger, draw things a little bit more spaced out. Whereas if you are if you have a lot more panels, then obviously they just have to be smaller, and a lot of the detail might get lost. So, food for thought. Just something to keep in mind. If you can, if he was able to redraw this entire page in 4 panels as opposed to 6, I would have said you should do that because you would have had a lot more space. But again, it's just something to think about. Overall, though, I think this is, still really good. I really like that there are more people as well. He's drawing, this lady's outfit. She's supposed to be, they're all supposed to be kind of rich. I think that, works. What else? Well, rich in the sense of we're on a mommy group. I mean, I guess, not rich, but I guess Miss Garrick is supposed to be rich, but whatever. Okay, whatever. Let's keep on to the next page. She says, how humanitarian, I'm Mrs. Garrick. You must join me for lunch after. Bingo. Sure. Okay. All right. So this is Miss Garrick. Okay, cool. So this was Miss Garrick, not her. I thought, whatever. It doesn't matter. All right. So then we go to this panel. So is pipe smoking good for kids? No, it is not. It is not good for kids. No. It's an inhaler. Oh, okay. I had asthma once. That's hilarious. My husband can be a bit much. Ooh, I'll fetch us some tea. Okay. So, in regards to this full page, I like the fact that this lady is coming out of the panel. In all honesty, even though she's coming out of the panel, it kind of leads your eye more so than it needs to. It's not bad. And I didn't really have an issue because the way the speech bubbles are, it kind of immediately leads you to this one, and then you see this bingo right here. But just keep it in mind. You always want to lead your reader's eye to the next panel, to the next speech bubble, to the next action. You never want them to think to themselves, where am I going to read next? Because, again, it brings them out of the experience of reading the comic. So, food for thought. I really love the dialogue here. I think this is hilarious. Very fun. The interior of the limousine is... Look, cars are difficult, so I get it. What else? When it comes to this, I like the atmosphere. That's probably the best thing about it, but there's just a lot of things that kind of just don't match up. And I can't even really explain it in that way, because it's not that it doesn't match up. It's just... It doesn't look real. And obviously this isn't real, and obviously this is cartoony. Obviously, this is, very stylistic, but there's a certain level of realism that is needed for, you know, different art styles, different backgrounds, different things. And, I feel like that is the biggest issue for me with this background. Like other backgrounds that he drew, like they felt real. Like, I mean, I like this atmosphere. You understand that he's going into a courtyard of a mansion. You see some steps, some security guards. Like, I like the atmosphere. I think that looks cool. But when it comes to this, for instance, like you got the atmosphere, and you also got like something that could potentially be real. Like, this is a staircase winding up. This is, a bridge. Like, all this, very slightly there are things that you're like, can that be real? Like, or is this like just like super stylistic? I don't really know how to explain this other than saying it like that. It's really strange. It's kind of throwing me off. But in short, it's not really that big of a deal. I think that, it works out with the atmosphere. So, yeah. But now we see Mr. Garrick. I love this. I think this is really cool. Again, him cutting out of the panel. Great choice. Just introducing this character. Well. Who do we have here? I'm Wendy. This is Leroy. Nice to meet you. Gus Garrick. Make yourselves at home. A doctor at your age is impressive. All while raising a son, no doubt. Huh, thanks. It's nothing special. Oh, don't be modest. But can you tell me how? All right. So we're about to get into some danger. I think this is about to escalate. All right. So first, let me just say that I think when it comes to the introduction of Mr. Garrick, like I said, great job. I liked his pose, like he's going in for, a handshake. I think that's cool. The hand probably has some issues. I would say mainly the ring. Like, I've never worn a ring right here on my finger compared to like right here near the base of my finger. So like that might be something to think about. Same thing with this. This is it's a very scrunched up panel. Like, I get that, you're trying to add a lot of detail. They're sitting at a table. We got an agent right here. We got, Miss Wendy, and we also got Leroy. I don't know where his wife is. I assume she's right next to him right here. But in short, it's very scrunched up. And, panels like this, I would try to avoid, or at least try to pull back in drawing it, like, as the angle. Like, trying to pull back so that way you can show more and not keep it too convoluted to where when you're looking at it for extra detail, you just have a feeling of saying this feels off. Like, that's kind of like what I'm feeling right now. So that's kind of what I feel when it comes to this particular background. Like, I that's probably the only way I can explain it. Like, it just feels off. Like, I get it and I understand it, but it just feels off. So that's what I feel about this particular panel. But anyway, yeah, he says, but can you tell me how you chose to work with government dogs? Next time, finish the job, baby boy. Put 'em ice, fellas. Put 'em ice, fellas. Okay, so I guess he should have said, put 'em on ice, fellas, or, whatever. But, okay, so escalation immediately. I love it. I do think that, I need to keep on reading, obviously, so I'll find out how he knew that they were with government dogs. But the only thing that I would say about that particular panel, anyway, is just, reread your dialogue so that way you just make sure that everything is good and no one is, misreading or missaying something. So, and then he says, Watson, get down! And then you see some guns. And then, yep, he just keeps on shooting. He said, what now? I just need to shift into my prime. I thought you said you perfected that. I said, I basically perfected that. Focus, Leroy. Swoosh. All right, so I'm loving this. This is great. Cool action. He turns into his prime. This is cool. Leading the eye. I really enjoy the fact that he's just essentially jumping to the next page. Like, I think that's really cool. I think this is good. I would like to say for this particular panel, this guy is like, I'm not sure if you guys remember that I don't know, it was a couple years ago, or maybe it was last year. It was a guy at the Olympics. He was shooting, and like he was the only person that was like super like still, and just did not care. Like that's who this guy reminds me of. Like he seems very calm and collected, whereas this guy is like just shooting his AK-47 or whatever. So, all right, so now we see Leroy. He just jumped on this one guy, hit him down. All right, he's surprised. He turns around. He hits something. He's able to dodge the bullet, and then he punches him. And then he says, "Oh, no. And then he gets caught from behind. He says, "Enough. End of the line." Okay, but I like this action. I think this is cool. I think that this is when you don't necessarily need to focus on backgrounds. Obviously, speed lines, have some type of background just to let you know that this character is, not just floating in space, but or at least they're around this particular vicinity of whatever background you have them in initially. But you don't necessarily need to add as much detail as the previous pages. For instance, with this table and background and everything else. Like, you don't need to do that when it comes to a fight scene. And I think he did a really good job of just kind of focusing on the action, trying to make sure that it was all very easily understood. I like that he attempted at the you're looking up worm's eye view. I even think that he accomplished enough to where you can get and see what he's going for, but it just doesn't look as tight as it could. So that's my only criticism on this particular panel. But every other panel, for the most part, I think looks pretty good. All right, so now we see this guy, Mr. Garrick. He says, "End of the line, anti-agent." And then we see Mrs. Watson. She's done the flip. She stabs him in the neck with a syringe, and he immediately falls down. That has got to be painful. It's about time, Watson. Aw, I was saving that for your sleep study. All right. So, overall, I like this panel. I like this page a lot. I think this is a really cool, not a reveal, but a really cool way of having an assist with, Watson's help. What else? I like the backgrounds in here. It still is very busy. It's kind of scrunched up. I wish it was a little bit bigger, but, in short, I think it works. Also, Mr. Garrick is massive. This guy is huge, in this panel anyway. So I, for everybody out there that's, drawing a panel that might be kind of far away, like, from an angle or whatever, like your camera has zoomed out so you can show everything. Just try to match each character to each other. Like, that will be your measuring stick. If you know that your character is supposed to be 5 feet or whatever, and you drew another character, let's say Leroy is 5 feet or 6 feet or whatever, this guy would be easily 7, 8 feet. I mean, he's super tall, very big as well, like super wide. Like, just so for everybody out there that is drawing their characters at really small or whatever, just try to think about their sizes in relation to whatever's around them, buildings, other people, cars, whatever. That's kind of what I was saying when it came to this page as well, when he was walking down the street. Like, he is massive compared to this particular door. So having that in mind will help you keep at least some semblance of realism throughout, whatever story you're drawing. All right, so this is the next page. I think it's the last page. It says, "Now my son will grow up without a father." And then he says, "It'll be fine. I can hear it's common over here in the States." It's over in the States. Okay, cool. So they're supposed to be in London. Okay, so that was Big Ben. Okay, that makes sense. All right. "Now my son will grow up without a father. It'll be fine. I hear that's common over in the States," which is so sad, but it is true. And he says, "So what's next for the legendary Leroy Holmes? A nice Epsom salt bath." I don't think my serum is working. I'm not gonna lie. Epsom salt baths are amazing. I love them. Okay, so let me just say my biggest criticism right now, which isn't really even a big criticism, but it would just basically be this guy. Like, how did Mr. Garrick know that they were a part of the government? It's not really explained. I would assume that there was something that maybe I missed, or maybe Trey was just like, I just wanted to, get to the action. This is, the culmination of like everything leading up to this point. So I just really want to make this really good. And if that's the case, then, awesome sauce. But that's the only thing that I feel like he dropped the ball on. Just not explaining his motivation for knowing, or not his motivation, his understanding of them being government agents. I'm not sure how he figured that out. But there was one more thing. Okay, so what does it say? Do you really need that gun for a bath? Yes, doctor. It helps with any unwanted pain. That's hilarious. Thank you for reading Anti-Agent 00. If you made it through the story and laughed at least once, I did my job. You did your job, sir. You did your job. This is the first one-shot I've completed in 16 years. I thought having an old man as a secret agent would be hilarious. However, I had to draw so many guns, buildings, and cars that regret set in. Leave a comment and let me know if you want to see more of Leroy and Wendy in the future. You can also find me on social media here, Instagram and Twitter. Definitely check him out. I have his at in the description box below. I believe he has a YouTube channel as well, so send him a follow and check him out. I want to read the comments because I really enjoyed this. It says, actually hilarious. Yes, it was very funny. Wow, great work. I really enjoy your humor. Yeah, man. Good job, man. Good. I'm so happy for Trey. Good job, man. I really hope that he, picks this up or continues or does whatever. But like, this was a really good comic. We're gonna read the next one, probably in a future stream. But it says, looks like I found the balls. Awesome story. It's an inhaler. Haha. Looks awesome too. Achievement unlocked. Found the balls. Oh man, there's replies for everyone too. I'll read those after this. The pipe smoking toddler had me cracking up. LOL. Great artwork as well. I'm proud of you. Keep it up. Great read, hilarious dialogue, pleasing illustrations. Balls were found. This has it all. Made an account just to like and comment this. Art's amazing. Premise is fun. That humor is top notch. Love the comedy. Love the art style. Love the balls. Really good work. I want more. Dude, I'm so happy for you, man. This is awesome. And the last comment says this goes hard, but you can't really see it because it's under this scroll, and I can't get rid of that right now. So, yeah, he did a really good job with this comic. Let me look at the comments, the replies. Was there a reply? Okay, so there's a reply right here. It says based comeback. All right, awesome story. It's an inhaler. Looks awesome too. Haha, I was laughing while I was writing it. that sounds like Trey. Yeah. Achievement unlocked. Found the balls. LOL. The pie smoking toddler had me cracking up. Haha. Thank you. Glad you enjoyed it. I'm proud of you. Keep it up. Thank you. Yeah. Keep it up, man. This is really fun. I am going to go all the way back up real quick, and yeah. Let me see. Yeah, this was Mrs. Garrick. This was Mr. Garrick. Old man, toddler. Is this... I guess this is the guy from the very beginning. Yeah, I guess these are the ropes. So, okay, let me see Wendy. And we see his prime version, Leroy. Awesome. I like this a lot. This is good. All right, so, oh, no. Sorry, I keep on pressing the wrong button. I gotta get more used to this. Anyway. Thank you again, everybody that's watching this. I really appreciate it. If you're watching this in the future, thank you for watching this. Thank you for sticking around. Show him some love. Let him know what you thought about this comic in the comments below. Or you can go to his comic. He actually has a link on his Instagram. You go straight to this comic as well as also his next comic. Actually, let me see if I can bring that up real quick, because I want to show you guys so that way you guys can definitely check it out, because he is he's pretty good. I'm very happy for him in terms of having a story that he really enjoyed drawing, and a lot of people liked it or seemed to like it. So I'm really happy for him. That's great. Let me do this. Okay. All right. So this is Chasers High. This is the next comic of the next one-shot that Trey drew. This one was really fun. I'm going to read this on another stream, so definitely stay tuned for that. But if you want to read it right now, you can go to his Instagram. It's at Trey Brunson. You can go right here. You can look at a lot of his artwork. He did a lot of cool sketches. Is more traditional. I haven't really seen a lot of his digital art. I'm not really sure if he's going into that. But you'll go to his link tree right here. And once you go to the link tree, you'll see read Chasers High, read Anti-Agent. That's what I just did. Chasers High is a little bit longer, but is very, very fun. So definitely check that out. Or obviously you can just, stay tuned for a future episode of this live streaming, because, I'll be reading people's comics. Everybody that joins the Finish Your Comic Club, you get to send me your comic and I will read it live. And the only reason why I'm not doing this anymore for free or just willy-nilly is because when I was giving advice, a lot of people, like I said earlier, were getting angry. And I want you to understand that, like, when I'm giving advice and how I'm conducting myself by reading your comic, I'm doing this all in hopefully the best light possible. I want you to enjoy it. I want everybody to be entertained. I want you to get advice. I want everybody else to learn some stuff. So I'm trying to do a lot of things, and if you're just gonna not enjoy it or be angry at me or the process or anything in that regard after the fact, then that's the reason why I'm not doing this for free anymore. So if you would like me to read your comic, or if you would like to be a part of our club where you can participate in Work in Progress Wednesdays, show a post of your comic or what you're working on, or how many pages you've actually finished up to that point. If you have any questions, all the other artists inside of the community will be able to help you out. Obviously, I'm trying to do live streams every week, which is, I was talking to a few members earlier. I wanted to do this live stream last night. So for everybody out there, this is probably the last thing I'm going to say, and then I'm going to wrap up everything. But the way I've been wanting to do this is every Sunday night into Monday from like 9 to 11 or 9 to 12, depending on how the stream is when I would be doing a live stream. However, this was the worst month ever to launch this club because I got inventory. B, I got this. I got this project. I got this. I got this. It's a lot of stuff going on. But hey, there's never a great, amazing time to do anything. So you just kind of got to jump into it, and I'm learning as I go. So hopefully I will get better at doing these streams. Hopefully I can be more entertaining. Hopefully everybody that's watched this and is continuing to watch this online has enjoyed it. And if you did, please put a like, comment down below. I watched this entire thing, or I really enjoyed this, or I can't wait to, see you in the club, or, whatever the case may be. But if you would like to have me read your comic, please, follow the links right here. I got my Patreon. That's where you sign up for the club, and you get like a link, and you get like a bunch of stuff as well. Obviously you get access to all of my talk show episodes. I got like 20 plus. I also have what else? All of the new videos that are going to be coming out on this channel, as well as also my other channel, I'm going to be putting on there. If you have a particular subject that you would like me to go over, you get to vote on what you want that subject to be. You can comment and say, hey, maybe, do this in like the next stream. Like there's a lot of stuff that I have inside of that entire club. So if you're interested, or if you would like to check that out at all, then, please check it out. It's only $5 a month. I mean, it's less than, McDonald's, every fast food place nowadays. I mean, the last time McDonald's was $5 was in the 90s. Like it was so long ago. So yeah, $5 is nothing. But if you would like to, check it out, like I said, you also get a lot of stuff with that, and it's definitely worth $5, and you can't go wrong. So, what do you got to lose? But if you would like to have me comment or cover another subject or anything in that regard, please, let me know in the comments. I am going to be prioritizing, my club members, before every other member that decides to comment on these videos. But I do want to hear your thoughts. What do you like about the setup? Do you have any questions? Is there anything in particular that you would like me to try to address in the next one? But just keep an eye out for that. And I think that's it. So, again, I really appreciate it. You guys rock so much. Thank you for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. Please check out Trey Brunson. That guy is great. His sense of humor is hilarious. Chasers High. That's gonna be a really fun comic to read. Probably a month from now. Because the way I have these streams, the way I want to do it is one stream is gonna be me reading my own comic, an old comic from the past, which you can actually read that. You can actually watch that stream from 2 weeks ago. where I did that. Then I have another stream where I read your comic. I would like to do 3 of my members' comics, or like, just pick out of those 3. But at the moment, there are not a lot of members, so definitely join if you want me to potentially read your comic in the future. And then the next stream after that is going to actually be me teaching. Like I said, you guys all get to vote. And then the stream after that is, if I'm not mistaken, the way I have it is like a kind of like a drink and draw. Or maybe the drink and draw is the second week. I think the drink and draw might be the second week. I don't know. I don't even think it's a drink and draw. It's more like drawing and hanging out, just, whatever. If you guys like this, please let me know. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. This was great. I had a blast. But all right, I'm gonna call it quits. So I'll talk to you all later, all right?